Welcome to the Kimberly Guilfoyle Show, live on Rumble, where facts come first and where news is done right. And we lead off today with Donald Trump's resilience in the face of never-ending lies, smears, and witch hunts. Because now that we have seen the actual indictment, it's more obvious than ever that this case is even weaker than we thought. It's 34 counts, but it all stems from the same alleged hush money payment in 2016, with the 45th president being accused of falsifying business records, a misdemeanor charge. So you might be wondering, with the statute of limitations appearing to have run out, and Bragg seeming to lack jurisdiction in tying this to a federal campaign law, how exactly does he square this circle? Well, it doesn't seem like New York prosecutors know either. They're confused because Bragg has stacked one misdemeanor on top of another and somehow thinks that that creates a felony. No. Remember, New York law only allows this to become a felony if the alleged false business record was also in furtherance of another crime. But the indictment itself doesn't even lay out what that second crime would be. I'm not making this up. And it can't be a federal crime because a state prosecutor can't enforce federal law. Okay? This is like criminal law for dummies, folks. This is what we're dealing with. So Bragg appears to be relying on a violation of New York election law, but that's also a misdemeanor. Frankly, he's hitting one legal dead end after another, but that doesn't seem to be stopping him from doubling down. Here's Bragg stumbling through his press conference Tuesday. Watch.
Let me say as an initial matter that the indictment doesn't specify that because the law does not so require. In my remarks, I mentioned a couple of laws, which I will highlight again now. The first is New York State election law, which makes it a crime to conspire to promote a candidacy by unlawful means. I further indicated a number of unlawful means, including more additional false statements, including statements that were planned to be made to tax authorities. I also noted the federal election law cap on contribution limits.
But why weren't there those crimes charged? Why wasn't he charged with those crimes?
Well, I'm not going to go into our deliberative process on what was brought. The charges that were brought were the ones that were brought. The evidence in the law is the basis for those decisions.
Now, does that sound like a prosecutor that has any idea what the law even is? No. Under Bragg's bizarre legal theory, virtually anything would be considered a campaign expense. And he's claiming that Donald Trump committed a misdemeanor to cover up another crime, but he won't say what that crime is. A lot of transparency here. If this all sounds confusing and bizarre, well, that's because it actually is. It's a complete and utter mockery of the legal system. And even the far left media is being forced to reckon with it. Just look at this article from Vox that reads, quote, "There's a very real risk that this indictment will end in an even bigger anticlimax. It is unclear that the felony statute that Trump is accused of violating actually applies to him." And it doesn't stop there. Even the rage-filled anti-Trump haters over at CNN, Communist News Network, are admitting it. So here's disgraced FBI official and Russiagate figure Andrew McCabe admitting this is even weaker than he thought. Take a look.
Well, just to tee you up, it looks like District Attorney Bragg has set up, very solid case for 34 misdemeanors related to business fraud, but not a huge amount of confidence in the attempt by Mr. Bragg to turn this into 34 felony charges. What are you hearing?
Very, very similar commentary, Jake. So if I had to characterize it, it's disappointment. I think everyone was hoping we would see more about the direction that they intend to take this prosecution. What is the legal theory that ties that very solid misdemeanor case, 34 counts of misdemeanors, to the intent to conceal another crime, which is what makes it a felony. It simply isn't there. Now, it's possible that the DA has an elaborate and solid theory that's backed up by a lot of evidence, and he has just decided to conceal that at this point. That would be I think it's a strange decision on his part, but nevertheless, I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. At the end of the day, if all of our legal friends read this indictment and don't see a way to a felony, it's hard to imagine convincing a jury that they should get there.
And we heard the former national.
So even the biggest anti-Trump voices are being forced to face reality, which is that this indictment isn't just a witch hunt against Donald Trump. It is a complete legal embarrassment. And Tuesday night from Mar-a-Lago, Donald Trump stood strong, exposed the injustice, and made it clear he will never stop fighting for you. Watch.
We are now a failing nation. We are a nation in decline. And now these radical left lunatics want to interfere with our elections by using law enforcement. We can't let that happen.
And let me be clear, this isn't about what party you're with or your affiliation, your position on one policy or another. It doesn't matter whether you voted for Donald Trump. It doesn't matter whether you're a Republican. It doesn't matter whether you're a Democrat. Every American should be outraged at the justice system being used to interfere in a presidential election and being used to undermine the credibility of prosecutors and the court system. And the most disturbing part, they all know exactly what they are doing, and they aren't even trying to hide it. Remember, back in 2016, Hillary Clinton got caught paying for the Steele dossier and falsely claimed it was a legal expense in what was an actual crime. Was she indicted? Was she arrested? Of course not. Her campaign ended up paying a small fine. The justice system only functions if those tasked to carry it out actually perform their duties with some level of good faith and commitment to applying the law to the facts. That Rubicon that had been crossed, we no longer have a justice system. What's left is nothing more than a set of rules that can be used and abused for partisan gain and to punish political enemies. But the good news is, it's only strengthening Donald Trump. Because look at this. A new Rasmussen poll shows the 45th president with his largest lead yet over the struggling Joe Biden. The poll shows Trump ahead by a whopping 7 points in a massive 10-point jump and swing from February. Once again, a Democrat-led effort to fuel lies about Donald Trump appears to be totally backfiring. And it all comes as real crime continues to ravage New York as prosecutors and judges throughout the city coddle violent criminals. As we're now learning that a stepfather charged with strangling his 15-year-old stepson to death earlier this year was freed without bail by a notoriously lenient Bronx judge on Wednesday. This is the idea of justice in New York and America, where violent criminals roam free while Donald Trump faces a baseless case in Manhattan. The priorities are so misplaced, so mismanaged, and constantly mishandled. And the saddest part, it's the poor and working classes who end up suffering the most. Joining me now, attorney and senior advisor to President Trump, Alina Habba, along with former Defense Department Chief of Staff and former federal prosecutor Kash Patel, otherwise known as Queen B and Q. Come on, we got to have a little fun here. All right, Alina, I'm going to start out with you, sweetheart. I've never seen a case where a prosecutor thinks they can stack one misdemeanor on top of another and somehow they can bake this in their easy bake oven into a felony. It's like a bad case of Jenga. What's your reaction to what you see in the indictment?
That's exactly what they did. They bootstrapped it. So they couldn't bring it with federal prosecutors. They tried to do that. The federal prosecutor said there's no case here. And then they go to the FEC, who actually, as you pointed out, is the entity that's supposed to regulate campaign finance violations. The FEC says there's no violation here. Let's not forget that Stormy Daniels currently owes Donald Trump $500,000. And just last week, we got an order saying that she owes him another $190,000 or so for attorney's fees and all of that, because her attorney's in behind bars. We've got a fake indictment, 34 counts, which are technically the same count three times times 11. If you do the math, it's times 11, and the dates are 2017 when he was in the Oval Office. I mean, you can't make it up. It's a joke. They did bootstrap it. They are not the entity that is supposed to regulate this, even if it is a books and records violation. It's already been debunked twice. And Alvin Bragg said when he came out on stage, as you played for us before, that this is a New York State federal election. This is a New York State election crime. Well, there is no such thing as a New York State election crime when you're a president running for federal office. It's not in his purview. So, we have a lot of grounds to fight this, and it was a sloppy mess and a lot of taxpayer dollars to waste, frankly.
You're absolutely right. Someone needs to recall that Juris Doctorate that he got, because this is just not working out. He seems to not understand the law at all or what office he's in. So he's like, kindred spirits with Joe Biden, who doesn't know what he's doing either. All right, Cass, to follow up on that, you're a former prosecutor, former law dog like me. Could any reasonable prosecutor actually even ever try to bring a case like this? Because for how far and how long is Bragg willing to debase himself to try and curry favor with the Democrat Party and George Soros?
Now, that's a great point. As prosecutors, we only bring cases not that we know can meet muster in the grand jury, which is 51% to 49%. Maybe someone did something wrong, possibly, and it's not unanimous vote in the grand jury that matters. They just need a chunk of the people to say, okay, maybe there's a charge. And the indictment, as you know, is evidence of zero proof of guilt, as every judge will instruct them. What Alvin Bragg should have done was say, and of course he won't because he's corrupt, but the standard is, can I bring a case that meets proof beyond the exclusion of every reasonable doubt for every criminal element of the statute? And as Alina pointed out brilliantly, there is no elements to the statute because there is no statute that applies in New York. So not only did he fail his ethical duty by bringing a case that he can't meet the burden of proof, he failed the statutory duty on the books as legislated by the New York State legislature, not a judge, to say, I can't bring this case legally or factually. But that shows you, and Donald Trump's brilliance was to take this case and put the two-tier system of justice on blast. It is no longer a right-wing conservative conspiracy talking point. When I did Russiagate with Devin Nunes, they called us crazy for saying guys like FBI Director McCabe and Comey would lie to a federal judge. That's what happened. Now take that and attach it to a state-level false prosecution. And the brilliance of Donald Trump is not that I'm being indicted and charged fraudulently. It's that you're next. Your neighbors, your family, your loved ones are going to be politically targeted. The 80 million people that voted for Donald Trump, and dare I say the 90 million that are going to vote for him in 2024, the hypocrisy of it all is Alvin Bragg is interfering with the federal election. Will someone prosecute him?
Exactly the point, and well stated. And that's what people want to know. We want to believe in the system of justice, that justice, delayed is not justice denied. Alina, what does it say when even figures like CNN's Andrew McCabe, to Cash's point, who has no credibility and lied before, he's even saying, calling out the weakness of the case. You've seen it from some of the top legal scholars, wherever they, fall politically. Tell us what you think about that.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely right. Dershowitz said it really well. He said, I want to be able to have the right to vote against Donald Trump if that's what I want to do. And that is the American voice. That is the American right. That's the bedrock of our country. If we don't have the right to say, hey, Donald Trump, you want to run for office? That's great. I don't have to vote for you, but you have the right to run for office. And we're not going to politically persecute and prosecute you and your family. We're going to just let this be a fair election. That's the whole bottom line about this. Honestly, Kim, it's election interference. We can see that. That's what this is. If you look at the timing that we got from the judge on this in terms of scheduling, it's in line with a lot of key campaign caucuses, and it's literally right before the election. It's anything and everything they can do to screw up Donald Trump winning the 2024 election, which every poll right now, as you showed, is showing would happen. So it's interference at its best, and it's a frightening time for our country.
I want to follow up on something real quick. You said, Alina, I think it's very important because people have asked me personally about this, text, calls, messages. Hey, Kimberly, the next appearance in this case, why is it getting pushed back? What's the purpose and intention there? There may be able to be some motion work to try to get it dismissed, a motion to dismiss in front of the judge, but let's see. And then, of course, they have a December date. So tell the viewers about that.
Yeah, we have a December date, and the judge, even though we know that it costs almost $250 million to have the president go through the city and fly in, and the amount of security for press and otherwise. We had asked in court, and the criminal team, who I love, they're a great team. I'm proud to be working alongside them, but they correctly asked that we save resources for the state and not have him have to appear again and have all of this, but rather he would appear via Zoom. They said no. So they want, there's a little bit of optic and politicization again that we really don't need, and it's costing taxpayers. So we have a December 4th, I believe it's the 4th, is his next appearance that he would have to go in for. Motions are due by August, I believe. So they have a few months till they get a decision on that. They'll have motions to dismiss. Those things take time. They need to do them correctly. New York is a state where, you have to put all of your claims into those papers. So it should be methodical. I know everybody is, go, get rid of it, but it has to be done so that we win. And there's a lot here to unpack. So
I hear you. I just also feel like the Manhattan DA is not in any rush, quite frankly, because they don't have any actual factual basis for it, or a way to bootstrap this in. It's going to be exposed. They want to drag it out, I think, Cash, to hurt the president, hurt his electoral chances, and carry it in as a backstop, just in case, to keep him from getting elected in 2024.
I think y'all are both right. Absolutely, 100%. That's what the Democrats do. But let's borrow a page from their playbook. I don't want the motion to dismiss tomorrow. I don't want it this year. I don't want it next year. Okay. I want the discovery process to unfold. I want all the corruption and fraudulent sources and documentation and investigative tactics that Alvin Bragg used put on blast by the only person that can do it, and it's Donald Trump and his brilliant defense team and Alina Habba. I want the world to know that we're not telling you it was corrupt. I want the world to see the receipts, see the documents. And here's the kicker. Alvin Bragg admitted to using at least $5,000 in federal money to prosecute Donald Trump. Hey, Congress, that's your jurisdictional hook. Where are the subpoenas from Congress for the documentation to say he fraudulently filed charges against a politically motivated candidate and used federal tax dollars in an unlawful fashion? And where's every state attorney general and district attorney in a Republican district saying, why don't we go after and impanel grand juries for the likes of Alvin Bragg, who are using Soros-funded dollars to actually interfere in an election and using it via the 501c charitable processes? These Republicans need to wake up. I'm tired of their punchlines on TV and their gavels in Congress when they don't send out anything for accountability for the American people. I know they're listening to your show and they're probably going to hate me, but I'm done caring about what their feelings are.
We don't care if they hate us or not, do we? How about use your office? You were elected by the people. You're responsible and owe a duty to your constituents. You have the power of subpoena. Alvin Bragg is not above the law. We want to see the evidence, see the facts, and we want the transparency that we deserve to see if he is improperly using funds to go after a politically motivated persecution of the former president of the United States. And that is that. Let me tell you. Alina, real quick, I want to talk because people actually really genuinely care. They say, God bless, we feel so bad. How is the president doing? How is he hold up? I want you each to answer, what has been your experience and feedback on that?
He's as resilient as ever. I think that this kind of behavior, as much as it's sad for his family and to have to be the victim of this, and it's got to be exhausting, he has more energy than anybody I've ever met. He gets ignited by things like this, not for himself, but for the country, which is why he's put away his perfect, relaxing life and said, I'm going to sacrifice every bit of me. And now we've seen it's literally every bit of me to fight for this country. So I love that he's not part of any kind of party that's going to push him or pressure him. He doesn't need the financial gain of it. So he's really independent and he's America first. So I think this kind of emboldens him. I think we see that in the poll numbers, and I'm proud of him. I wish I had, my pinky was as strong as, as he's just the toughest man I know. I mean, he's 76 years old and he could get them all, and he will in 24.
I totally believe that. It's hard. I think we all have the same emotions where we're angry, upset about it, frustrated, and all as, legal people with that really believe in the law and the rule of law, and that we have the best system of justice in this country. It's hard to see it shape-shifted and misused like this politically against a man that we should be thanking. He was the best president we had. Cash, get your take on this.
Yeah, I mean, y'all talk to President Trump more than most people I know. I spoke to the president a couple of days ago. And it's his resolve that's just unrelenting. Russiagate alone would have wiped out every single person on this planet. And he just smashed through that because he's basically the juggernaut for American justice. I mean, the fact that he's willing to take it head on, and as he brilliantly said, it's not about Donald Trump. It's about you, the American public. And that strikes a nerve. The two-tier system of justice is now on full blast because of Alvin Bragg's corrupt prosecution. And Donald Trump's brilliance, resolve, and energy, as y'all talked about, is going to lead the way forward. As you heard at his speech from Mar-a-Lago the other night, he is talking not about personal petty differences, how we are going to take this country forward. I mean, just think about this man that has been attacked from January 6th to Mar-a-Lago to classified docs to Ukraine impeachment 1, 2, Russiagate, Mueller, etc. He is still towering over them, and that's what ticks them off. And when you have the left admitting it on the mainstream media that Alvin Bragg got this prosecution wrong, you don't need to listen to the three of us. You know he's hit a nerve, and he's going to cruise to victory as long as we capitalize on the corruption, and I think he's going to do that.
You're 1,000% right, and we know he's so strong. He was so stoic the other night, gave a great speech. I didn't even hear one criticism of it, but bottom line is, it's like, Eric Trump and Don Jr. said how proud they were of their father. We all flew back together on Air Force One when he left the presidency. We came back here, to Florida, but everyone agrees, like, we were so proud of him the other night for what he went through for all of us, because he is like the final stop there to prevent them from getting to us. And that takes a lot of strength and courage and resilience. And I want to thank you both for giving us so much insight and intellect on it. Thank you for being here, and we look forward to having you back again soon. You two are very popular. I'm not going to lie to you. Incredible. All right.
Love you guys. Thanks, Kate.
Thank you. All right, and much more coming up with Texas Congressman and other superstar Wesley Hunt. But I want to take a moment to thank our sponsors who make this show possible, okay? Cancel proof. That's why I'm so excited to tell you about My Pillow 2.0. I talk about this even when I'm not on the show. I was like talking about it to my friends today because it really is the best pillow, and it's just getting better. Mike Lindell went through this whole new thing with brand new temperature regulating technology, and it keeps you comfortable throughout the night. No one likes a hot pillow, if you get what I'm saying. It still keeps its whole consistency and plumpness, and you still stay cool during the night. So it's amazing. And he's got this patented interlocking fill, so it allows you to adjust your pillow for individual needs. Shape it for yourself. I shaped my pillow a little differently than Don Jr. shapes his. Okay, so it's going to give you that exact support you need from the bed to your head, and it's going to stay that way throughout the night. Try it out, and you can buy one and get one free with promo code Kimberly at mypillow.com, along with discounts on all your favorite MyPillow products. I also love the beach towels. We have zillions of them because we had a lot of kids. So that's mypillow.com/Kimberly. And it was great to see Mike Lindell, true patriot, the other night there for the president, as always. So now remember, as the indictment against Donald Trump dominates headlines, Joe Biden's failures are only intensifying. They're ramping up. For example, across the globe, major countries, including both American allies and adversaries, are ditching the U.S. dollar in favor of other currencies. You kind of saw this coming, right? But it's still shocking. Recently, Brazil and China reached an agreement to no longer use the dollar in trade transactions. And Russia is also now turning to Chinese currency to pay for exports. Even India's central government has announced a new policy to shift away from the U.S. dollar. And while Saudi Arabia this week signaled a move towards a new China-led economic bloc, Biden's failed economic policy is fueling fears around the globe of a massive economic recession right here at home. And on national security, our adversaries continue to sense and smell weakness. Because remember, the Chinese spy balloon that Biden let waltz across the country? Well, we are now learning that the balloon did in fact collect intelligence from sensitive U.S. military sites. So as Biden fails at home and abroad, what's Democrats and the media's response to this all? To endlessly obsess and attack Donald Trump over a total non-crime. Oh, just makes me so mad. All right, here for reaction to all of this, Republican Congressman from Texas, Wesley Hunt. Congressman, thank you so much for being with us on the program. It's always a pleasure to hear from you. You're such a superstar and a fighter, so we thank you for your service to this country. We're excited to have you on the program, and let's talk to the viewers here because we're seeing the failures of the Biden administration play out every day. I laid some of it out to you. We now see everything from countries ditching the dollar, a never-ending border crisis, inflation, the whole works. But Democrats would rather go all in on another witch hunt against Donald Trump instead of doing their job. What's your reaction to all of it and what you're seeing on the ground in D.C.?
It's just going to show you that they are running scared. I mean, this president, our president, has been maybe the most investigated American in the history of all Americans. We're talking about multiple impeachments that he was cleared of. We're talking about Russiagate. This man's home was raided by the FBI.
Yeah.
And the best you got after all of this is this very weak case that's been done by Bragg. And now the whole world is seeing exactly what the left is all about, and they're being exposed for exactly who they are. What we know is that President Trump is the one person that's standing between us and tyranny. And if they're willing to do this to President Trump, just imagine what they will do to the average American citizen. The left knows this, and that's why they would rather ignore all of Joe Biden's faux pas and focus on not seeing President Trump come back because he knows and they know that there's going to be consequences for their behavior for the past 4 years.
Unbelievable, and I hope there are consequences. That's what people want. They want accountability. They want consequences. Elections should matter. Majorities matter, right? Because now we have a Congress that's going to do something about all of this. We hope and pray. But I want to talk about a tweet, too, this week from you about equal justice being, dead. It really resonated with me as a, former prosecutor, et cetera. Like, this is why it's so hard for me to even stomach what's going on in this country. I was so proud to be a prosecutor. You have such power and discretion. I believe in that honor, the integrity, the oath that you take to uphold the law equally without bias or without political bent or persuasion. You're also, a West Point graduate, one of my favorites of all time. I absolutely love West Point. And you served your country. And you vowed to uphold the Constitution. And you've now taken an oath, to serve the people of this country. I mean, what is your message, for Alvin Bragg?
And not just me, but my brother, but my sister. We all served our country. We all three of us went to West Point. My dad is also served for 23 years in the military. And the one thing I will tell you is that sacrifice is not in vain. And I'm watching it get flushed down the toilet every single day that Joe Biden is currently in office. We got to put it into it. Now, I have the honor of serving on the House Judiciary Committee. And the one thing that we even talked about a few weeks ago was the weaponization of the FBI against parents that were speaking out against what was going on in the classroom. Again, this is why we need President Trump now more than ever. This is why we need brave patriots that are willing to die for our country to serve in the halls of Congress, because we are also the ones that want to defend this Constitution because we're willing to die for it and because our country is worth saving. And I got to be with President Trump in Waco, and I tell you something, it was fantastic to speak before him.
Yes.
It was fantastic to see these crowds. If you think that we're going away, you are sorely mistaken. The more they behave this way, the more it reinvigorates us to do more, to do better, and we know that our country's on the line, and we gotta save it.
God, it's amazing. You make me so happy. It's like a whole endorphin release because I love your passion, the way you serve this country, your family so honorable, and that you have still that hope, that aspiration, that belief, but you're not just like hoping and praying about it. You're doing something about it and continuing to choose to give back. And I want to talk to you a little bit about the Judiciary Committee because I think it's very powerful and super important. I've been really mad in the past when I see people be on there and squander that opportunity when they should be out there, fighting for justice and getting answers. What role do you think your committee has, and if you can explain to the folks listening at home, on holding people like Alvin Bragg that politicize and weaponize the judicial system against people, like other out-of-control DAs, because what we've seen is like Soros-funded DAs in 75 different very key metropolitan cities, whether San Francisco or Los Angeles, Manhattan, Brooklyn. It's coming out across the country, and it should not be that way. What can your committee, do about that to make sure that these people are accountable, or we get the answers that we need, and perhaps any discussions that you guys have had also with Chairman Jim Jordan?
We've had plenty of discussions, and we all know that Jim Jordan is a patriot. We all know what he wants to do for this country. And let me tell you something, you should fear not. We have subpoena power, and we are going to hold these people in front of them. We're going to ask them the questions that the American people want answers to. That's actually our job. It's our job to expose them for the corruption that they've done in this country for the past few years and to hold them accountable. And you know what I get asked all the time across this country?
What?
When are we going to see these hearings, and when are we going to see these people that are actively trying to destroy our country getting drugged before Congress like they drug our conservative forces across Congress 4 years ago? That's exactly what we're going to do. Jim Jordan, by the way, is fantastic.
Isn't he? He's a great wrestler too, by the way. Don't wrestle with that guy.
He's amazing. Yeah.
He's a champion. He gets you in a lock like that.
Yeah.
I think he's wiry.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I don't want to tangle with him. I'm going to tell you, but that's good, see, because people want to hear that. Okay, they elect people enthusiastically, and I saw the response and everything you got in Waco. People want to be inspired. They want people like yourself, real fighters, not swamp politicians that have no backbone, that don't have the strength to stand up to people like this that want to destroy our country and our system of justice. It's kind of shocking to me too, Congressman, is that how fast things have sort of fallen in the past 2 years. I talked earlier about national security and foreign policy, about devaluing currency, about switching over to different systems, the China spy balloon. It's like, countries just thumbing the nose. I'm not just saying this. I really think this would not be happening if President Trump was still in office, because it didn't happen when he was in.
Would be happening. No, you are absolutely correct. None of this would be happening. And right now in my district, I'm talking to people that have to decide whether or not they're going to take their kids to school or buy eggs. These are the kinds of decisions that we're dealing with here in America. It's not the issue 4 years ago. And this is the reason why we're seeing all these witch hunts, because they know the second President Trump comes back, we're going to go back to business as America knew it in the past, which is excellence, which is America first type policies, which is putting the priorities of the American citizen first. Every other country in the world puts their own priorities first. Why don't we? I can guarantee you Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin don't wake up in the morning and they say, I wonder what we can do for the entire world. No! They wake up and they say, what can we do to take down America?
Yes.
We have the richest president we've seen in 40 years. We have got to reverse this and get back to strengthen this country.
You're absolutely right. And it's sad because it's not just problematic what's occurring at home, but really I'm very worried about it on the international stage, about what's happening very quickly. North Korea being emboldened, China being emboldened, Putin and Russia on the march, total disarray and chaos in Ukraine. This is not a stabilized world. This is not good for anybody. And, sadly, it's like we have to apologize and get on bended knee because we actually want a president in that puts America first. I'm like, I apologize to no one for that. Like, our obligations are to this country and to hardworking men and women that have sacrificed so much, and to the veterans and people who have chosen to give a life of service, whether it's in Congress or whether it's in the military or, God bless, in law enforcement, to keep America safe, home and abroad. And I just hope that we can take this back. We've got Congress, we've got fighters like you. It's very important to maintain these elections and to get majorities like you see, that we can have committees that actually do something and put in people like yourself and Jim Jordan. And I think we're really seeing that now. I mean, do you feel like the people that you're working with and the whole deal, that the hardworking congressmen and congresswomen are pretty fired up about getting this done?
We are extremely fired up. And I also want to talk about just how many combat veterans that are now serving as Republicans in the halls of Congress. We're coming back from the former fight, and then now we're fighting again for our country in Congress. And the world is watching us. And so whenever you look at the military right now that's more concerned with pronouns than fighting a war, this is why you're seeing Xi Jinping shake the hands of Vladimir Putin, and they're plotting to take us down. This is why we have to continue to fight to take back the Senate, fight to get 2024 back, because we are literally 2 years away, in my opinion, from losing our country. I am here to fight. I know you're here to fight. I know President Trump's here to fight, and I cannot wait to get in the arena with him.
Oh my God. I really hope you stay in office forever. Like, we're just like Congress and Senate run for president. I'm all in on you. Let me tell you something. Your whole family. Oh, let me tell you something. You make this country proud. God bless you. We look forward to having you, on the program again and again and again. I think we've got some good odds, some good things happening and coming up, hopefully, in the next 2 years. God bless you again, Congressman Hunt, and your incredible family, okay?
I have one thing, too. So earlier, some people have some nicknames. I want a nickname next time I come back on, man.
Oh, yeah. You're talking about when I give the QB and the Q? I got a nickname for you. GP. Genetic perfection. You like that one? Yeah, that's how we do it here. Exactly. You can retire on that one. I love it. All right, you're fabulous. All right. See, I made your day too, right? You made mine, I made your. All right, Congressman Hunt, you be well, sweetheart. Thank you. And coming up, we're going to have my closing remarks. Now, with all the economic anxiety gripping Americans across the country, now more than ever, it's important to diversify your portfolio. You hear what I'm saying? Did you pay attention to this show? I'm telling you. That's why I want to tell you about Goldco. Gold and silver can protect your retirement savings from inflation and dollar devaluation. So you can roll over your 401k or your IRA into precious metals and safeguard your savings, protect your family tax and penalty free. So from precious metals, IRAs to direct purchases of gold and silver, Goldco has helped thousands of Americans diversify and protect their retirement savings. So go to Kim's Metals. I don't know why. I like the way that sounds. KimsMetals.com to learn more. That's KimsMetals.com. All right. And in closing tonight, remember exactly what the never-ending attacks against Donald Trump are really all about. Trying to intimidate the America First movement into backing down, surrendering our voices, and giving up on all of the progress of the Make America Great Again agenda. But we all know there's not another Republican anywhere who can handle the nonstop smears like President Trump. There's no one man who will always stand up for you and never back down. One man who always puts the forgotten men and women first, who always puts what's good for the country over what's politically convenient or expedient, and who always turns turmoil into tragedy and turns vicious attacks into vigorous victories. And that man is Donald Trump. There's no Trump agenda without Donald Trump. There's no hope of righting Joe Biden's wrongs without Donald Trump. And there's no America First without Donald Trump. And it's why we are here to bring you a front row seat to all of it, right here on Rumble, where we reject the false narrative and always seek the truth. So in the meantime, be sure to follow me at Kimberly Guilfoyle, follow Donald Trump Jr., turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. And be sure to follow us both across all platforms, Twitter, Truth Social, Facebook, and Instagram. Follow Don Jr. tonight. He will be live at 6 p.m. Eastern right here on Rumble with an incredible show that you are not gonna want to miss. Trust me. And when you get a chance, hop on over to locals.com at Kim Guilfoyle, where we'll have a live Q&A, a little chit chat between you and me. I hope you have a wonderful and blessed evening, and I look forward to seeing you all on Monday.